folks, it's your man 50 grand, the one who has the skills to pay the bills, the one who has the cash to splash. Of him, they call the rich team, gets paid in this year 2025. Welcome to another edition of Richie Rich Retrospective Reviews, and as always I want to say a big shout out to the Rich team who has been following these videos, liking, commenting and sharing, and it gives me more energy and it gives me more motivations to keep doing these reviews. If you do have a request, drop it in the comment section. As I said, you can always find me on Instagram, same RichManZ on everywhere. So yes, we are here. All right, so speaking of requests, my main man, GQ Jamal, the proud owner of GQ TV, gave Richie Rich a request to do a review of the much underrated, the classic, a gem from the 90s period. It can only possibly be Strictly Business that came out in 1991. As we all know, and I've said it countless times, yes, I am a product, I am a first-class citizen of the 90s, and I always talk about my love and admiration for this era. It just felt everything was on top at this time. You had the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, you had the boy bands like Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. One of the greatest things, you had these dynamite black movies and television series that were from the beginning to the end of the 90s, and in this one, Strictly Business is another treat that we were given in this period of time. So as always, I love to talk about like the history of when I first saw Strictly Business. And as for me, I came late to the party. Yes, Richie Rich came late to the party. I actually saw Strictly Business. Man, I saw a few scenes, like I caught it here and there when I was back in merry old England, but I never saw the full movie. I was pretty much exposed to the whole like imageries of this film, because one thing you'll notice with this film, and it's very similar to Boomerang, is the colors. It's a very colorful, fruitful film, such a feel-good movie that I get from Boomerang and also in this film. So if in its all entirety, folks, I first saw Strictly Business possibly just during the pandemic time. So when I was inside and I was able, not really doing too much, just like planning and scheming for what us, the Rich team, is gonna do, I actually was able to see Strictly Business pretty much for the first time. And let me tell you, because I was watching it just recently, you know, to prepare for this review, and as I said, it just has a warm feeling. It's directed by Kevin Hooks, directed episodes of a Prison Break series, not period, and he also directed one of my favorite films from the mid-90s from Wesley Snipes, Passenger 57, that came out a year after this. It always funny, like I always confuse the flight attendant in Passenger 57 to Halle Berry, because the hot chick in Passenger 57 looks very similar to Halle Berry in Executive Decisions. I always confuse them, but he directed that movie, and to be honest, for like this is pretty much his first directable film. He does an outstanding job. The runtime of this movie is not too long. The pacing is very good. You do see the film production and the setting location, because there's scenes of this film was shot in Harlem. That's actually where like the main portion of this film gets taken place, and also in Manhattan. So the scenes there, you get this like again, this very enjoyable, fluorescent like experience of how New York was in the 90s. And like when I watch this film, I get a lot of similarities to Boomerang, because Boomerang just came out a year after this. Same saying with Strictly Business. Of course, I'm gonna go with the three protagonists earlier, but the first, of course, main one is Halle Berry. God damn, this woman been smoking. Let me tell you, whew, I've said it hands down, And I know there's a lot of guys who can agree with me that Halle Berry, even to this day and age, to how she was in the 90s to even this day and age, is hands down the finest woman who has ever existed. In any ethnicity, any time period, she is hands down the most attractive female who has ever been. Period. In this movie, what's so really nice about the timing of this is Halle Berry was literally just breaking her foot through the door. She was on a television series which I believe a lot of people don't know about. These like roommates who are models living together, again trying to break through and break into acting series, but it was a short-lived sitcom. So she appeared in that. The same year Strictly Business came out, she also appeared in Jungle Fever with Spike Lee, which I believe that came out just before this film. And as you've seen Halle Berry in the Spike Lee classic Jungle Fever, is Halle Berry pretty much looks like what she's playing, which is a crackhead. And even for that role, she actually didn't take a shower. She really tried to make herself so the opposite of her beautiful self. And with Halle Berry, it's not just the beauty. Like this woman, even from the early films and early appearances, she could act. She could lose herself into the roles just like she did in Jungle Fever. Even later on when you see her losing Isaiah, when it comes to acting, what I love so much about Strictly Business, especially Halle Berry, is that this movie really presents her sexuality. Like, and never ever before have you seen like a sex symbol actress as you see Halle Berry like in this film. I think it's from here where she had the iconic trademark hairstyle, which was pretty much a signature to Halle Berry, and especially the black females out there, to have like the short bob, the short haircut, and like eliminate all those crazy weaves. And Halle Berry pretty much like put this on the map. Playing alongside Halle Berry in the leads, Joseph C. Phillips, who is pretty much Joseph C. Phillips, who's playing Wayman, Wayman Tinsdale, who's pretty much like a big businessman in New York. A big businessman in New York who's pretty much in the real estate business. With him, he's been there. He's working with. He's been working on the scene for a while, and he's looking to get into the position of becoming a partner in this firm. Of course, big business, bigger salary. He's looking to climb up the ranks. Of course, with him, and I'll talk more about this as a story. He, just like a lot of us out there, was just starstruck the moment they saw Halle Berry and her amazing beauty. And Joseph Phillips, from what I know, is he appeared in the Cosby Show. He was Lisa Bonet's husband, like from the main film, because pretty much like the only role I've seen him in. For this role, he pretty much does fantastic. Pretty much, he's basically like that, because what Wayman is, with Joseph Phillips' portrayal of Wayman, is that he's pretty much he's in like the upper class of being a black person. He has a good job, he has a good work, he has a sort of like woman who he can't stand, but it's like that upper class black man, and he doesn't really fit so much into categories. He's not white enough with like the white, let's say the retail estates, the one who's in that top, and then he's not black enough with, of course, who's playing alongside him, Tommy Davidson. So he plays that kind of role. It's very similar to where you see, maybe not as preppy as Carmen, Alfonso Ribeiro in Fresh Prince, or even Braxton in Jamie Foxx show, but in similar fashion. It's the black guy who's not down, and throughout this film, it's like him sort of in a way getting his identity and not really judging books by its cover. Playing alongside the third main protagonist of the film is Tommy Davidson, who's playing Bobby Johnson. Tommy Davidson, Bobby pretty much is like a young, like hip New Yorker who's looking to basically work his way up. He's actually been working there for 2 years as a mailman, and I completely forgot that Joe Torre, Chicago from Poetic Justice, appears in this film. Brief scene you've seen of Joe Torre in Strictly Business, playing alongside this. It's like he always seems to be a mailman for some reason. I don't know. Yeah, but he was there. So yeah, Tommy Davidson, of course, like a lot of people first saw him from the iconic sketch comedy series Living Color. He appeared in, I think he was one of the main actors who started in the first and completed all the way to the end of the season. He appeared in, of course, movies like Booty Call, Woo, and a few others. Even I think he had a little stint before. But Richie Rich, remembers Tommy Davidson without a doubt from the excellent, my favorite episode from the Martin series, Hollywood Swinging, where Martin faces off against his nemesis, Varnell Hill. Did ya miss me? My favorite episode ever. Tommy Davidson in this role, he brings a lot of that flavor and a lot of that hip. It feels like if I was transported to the 90s period, and I was in that time saying, I think everyone could resonate and relate to being that hip, flashy, cool, colorful, vibrant dude as Tommy Davidson is. And I can relate to his character, of course, more than Joseph Phillips in this. Like, he means well. When you see him in this, he's not really like a scrub. He has ambition. He's not there like as the typical young black ones you've seen in like a lot of hood movies. In that, he's not like any other characters you've seen, like of course Juice and even Boys in the Hood. He's in the city. He's living, of course, with his mother, but he has ambition. And of course, someone who is passionate and has ambition and is consistent will make those dreams come true. Oh yes. So from there, that's like the main three protagonists, of course, Halle, Tommy, and also Joseph. Then you got like a nice array of supporting characters. You got Samuel L. Jackson, who plays the boss, who's working in the division of the deliveries and the mail. Samuel Jackson, of course, appeared in Jungle Fever with Halle Berry in that same year. So it's really nice seeing him pretty much, because again, a lot of films you see Samuel Jackson pretty much just playing himself, and so it's funny, he looks way older than he does as playing Gator in Jungle Fever, but it's the same time. You got Anna Marie Johnson, who plays WayManZ, you could say, girlfriend in this. She also appeared in Living Color with Tommy Davidson. You got John Cypher, you got King Coles. And you also got a young Sam Rockwell, who's that like dancing machine you saw in Charlie's Angels, and he also was the bad guy in Iron Man 2. He was here. And of course, last but not least, also you got appearances of Dennis Leary, who has a real small appearance in this. He's the club owner of where Halle Berry works. You also mentioned Joe Torre appears in here, and like you could say the main antagonist of the film is David Marshall, is playing David. He's basically WayManZ, you could say, colleague, who pretty much is just trying to get over him, and he's trying to land partner by like sabotaging the work that WayManZ's trying to get through. But yeah, the cast is pretty solid. Of course, a lot of these were their breakout roles and first movies for them, and it's a terrific cast. As I said, the movie takes place in New York. It pretty much, of course, tells the story of Bobby. Bobby is basically, you could say, a party boy. He's a hip, young dude of the 90s, and he has these ambitions to basically rise up from being this mail clerk. He's been in this company for 2 years, and he's stuck. He wants to move up, he wants to get promoted. Meanwhile, Joseph, who works in the same industry, he's stuck in middle management. He really wants to get promoted and become a partner. So they're both similar in the same ways. They both want to achieve more. And what's even cool with these things, because of course, there's no backstory, of course, like how they were friends or how they met. But when they're introduced, there is this sort of like classism. Like WayManZ sees basically Bobby as, in some ways, he's beneath him, and the way like he dresses and the way he talks, zip zap zap, he dresses like too black, and he believes in order to be someone in a higher position, he doesn't have to be from the street, he doesn't have to speak street, he doesn't have to act street, he doesn't have to dress street, he needs to be more like him, more Ivy League, one of them. So that's like you could say like the constant battle that happens throughout the film. So all this happens when you see like scenes of course like Wayman's conducting business. There was actually one scene when they actually closed one deal with these Japanese investors, and as a celebration they go to this restaurant, and you see like one of the most mesmerizing scenes. Even I was mesmerized when I saw her. Is when Halle Berry walks in the restaurant, and she's wearing that nice tight red, black, purple, so vibrant outfit with that curves. Oh man, this woman's making me hot. When she's walking in slow motion, and you just see Wayman just like, I think we're ready to order. Yeah, he was just stuck. The moment Wayman sees Natalie's playing Halle Berry, he's just lost. Like he thinks like, I've seen the most beautiful woman, and he love her first time. Natalie comes into the picture because once this happens, she basically gets fired because she's what is Natalie. You'll find out with all these characters is which kind of ties them together is that they all are looking for more. They all are like, where we're at this stage in the next couple of years and down the road, we want to get better. For Natalie's one, she's actually was doing modeling and auditioning, which is pretty much story imitates life. It basically imitates life. She was actually doing that before she landed it big. So she was doing modeling or audition jobs before she actually came to the restaurant, and the owner fired her fine ass. And whilst she basically leaves abruptly, she drops one of her headshots, and Joseph and Wayman actually picks it up. And he basically is like, the way he looks at it is like, I must find this woman. She's in New York, she's in NYC, I will find her. And this is where basically Wayman and also Bobby connect, because whilst he's looking at one of the headshots when he's back at the office, Bobby notices like, how'd you know Natalie? You know, Natalie doesn't want to deal with you uptight, Ivy League, like shaken or stirred guys. She needs someone more hip. So once Wayman understands that Bobby knows like Natalie, his attention completely focuses 100% on Natalie. I mean, we've all been thirsty, but this dude was Niagara Falls thirsty. I mean, god damn. I know Halle was fine. I know this. But if we, man, there was early signs of simping. I smell those simping moments, yeah. So you see like, again, especially the central part of the film of like, again, basically at work, there's a lot of pressure from Wayman and of course like the ones above him. Like they're telling him that he needs to close these deals. He needs to be very much focused, because as he starts to focus on Natalie, he starts to kind of change his his routine styles. He starts staying up and late. He drinks alcohol. He becomes like a party guy, and he starts missing important appointments. He missed one appointment with his girlfriend Deirdre, played by Anne-Marie Johnson, who is just, you could say, she's almost a mirror to she's a mirror to Wayman's character in the beginning, but as Wayman starts to hang more with Bobby and he gets fixated on Natalie, he starts to change. So when Wayman is late for squash and he meets Deirdre, you really find out Deirdre is she doesn't even really like or even care for Wayman. She just believes like this can be a good financial gain to have this guy in her life. And she even discusses it to her friends, Kim Coles, who was in Living Color. I forgot to mention her. She appears in here, and she just talks about like them two together can be a good team. And I don't even give a fuck about him as a person. It's just that his financial position in life, of course, a high value man, as they say now. This can be very good for her career. So you see her just being stuck up and just being so pompous, bougie. She feels she's upper class. There's one scene I will always remember is when Wayman and Deirdre are getting it down, knocking the boots. She's even guiding him how to get down on her, and I'm just like, what, for real? Like the moment Natalie comes into the picture, Wayman is just like, this girl is whack, like what I need to waste time with this. You see like Wayman doing whatever he can to like hook up and basically meet with Natalie. So much so, of course, Wayman follows Bobby. He tags along with Bobby, and they go to the nightclub where Natalie's working in. And when he first sees Natalie, Natalie's like getting a groove on. She's dancing in the club. And of course, when Wayman sees, I think he goes in the second time, and when Wayman actually sees her, uh, he's actually so nervous to actually speak to her. He has to take a few shots down and drink to kind of loosen up. You have an appearance from Isaiah Washington, who I forgot to appear in here. And what happens is, like, when he goes again to speak to the beautiful Natalie, he meets the Harlem Brothers. These are the ones who pretty much own the club, or are like big high rollers. And pretty much Wayman makes an embarrassment of himself, because as he's trying to impress Natalie, Bobby's giving him like the slangs and ways you can talk, that jiff jab jive, in order to impress someone like Natalie. So he keeps on trying to say once like, that is whack. Oh, you want it? Yeah, get the heck out of town. Word. Instead of word, he's like word. So you see how through the film he's trying to become a bit more like let's say street and not so pompous as the beginning. Yeah, as you see scenes of like pretty much Wayman is pretty much done with like Deidre. Even one scene I remember when Wayman's girlfriend, they're at this cocktail party. And of course, you got a guy there, David, who I've not mentioned him as well. David, from the whole, from when he's introduced, pretty much is just vying to take away Wayman's job. And even at that cocktail party, he keeps asking questions all around Wayman, like how's his business? Is he closing projects? Is he closing deals? So he can find a way to sabotage him. And I know some people like this. I've been around jobs and sometimes even work out, even stuff I've done outside work. That dude who pretty much has so much information who's just trying to sabotage you behind the scenes. That is this motherfucker David. Like, then there's Larry, who makes an appearance. Basically, Natalie was supposed to have a conversation with him and tell him like, look, you lot have to pay us more. The club is making good revenue or whatever, and you need to pay me more. And Dennis Leary is just like, not now, not now. The next scene you see is they actually close the club. Basically, I guess they were really down in the books. Basically, Wayman's able to give pretty much like Natalie a ride because she feels down, she feels gloomy that she lost her job. And when it's a nice scene, very reminiscent to the past of exes of, or walking down just like the beautiful bridge. I believe, again, I don't know if this is Manhattan Bridge, but walking down New York City at night, and these two who have such ambitions to grow and become bigger than they are, and they're just talking and reminiscing about what they dream for the future. So magical, so lovely. So with here, like of course Wayman is able to confess his true feelings, like it's like, you're so beautiful, like I so badly want you. And this really gets the beautiful Natalie smitten, and he's able to secure it. He's able to spend the night with Natalie, but this came at a price. So as I talked about that dastardly David, he was working with Sam Rockwell's character to basically go in. So what it is they actually check into the pretty much the office, the real estate office that they work in, and he basically changes the numbers on basically one of the deals that I think it was one of the business proposals that they were going to give it in order to close the deal with some other investors. So this is before the Harlem Brothers eventually close it in the end. This was another investors. So, and I believe he gave it basically for Bobby, Tommy Davidson. He needed to get this and then basically deliver it to the right place so they can have this first thing in the morning. Even though Bobby was able to do this, everyone didn't know that David basically wanted to, again, sabotage it. So for this, when Bobby actually comes in the morning and he finds out that it basically got fucked up, the deal is over, they lost those investors, he corners Bobby, he screams at him, he said, I should have never trusted you, what was I thinking, all of this. And in all this panic, he loses his relationship with Bobby. Then at the same time, he loses the relationship with Natalie. Natalie actually comes to visit him at work, and because he's so tied in with like losing this big deal and possibly he's gonna get fired, he cannot even dream of making partner now. He basically kind of puts Natalie to the side, and Natalie just says, well, kind of F you. Why did you come all the way to do this just to put me out of the way? After this, immediately that PA, the personal assistant who was working on the Wayman, actually comes in with the actual evidence to prove. He comes in with the documents and evidence to say that no, Bobby didn't fuck up like what you said before. Someone went in and sabotaged and changed these figures on it, and it couldn't have been Bobby because Bobby is not even working in that department. He would not know. He knows Sabi. So from there, Bobby actually, who feels really bad, he knows he has to rectify things. So he goes to Harlem by himself, as in his Armani suits, looking as classy as he can. He goes to Harlem and he meets Bobby, confronts him basically with his friends, and he basically tells him like he apologized for shouting at him. It was a complete error. Bobby and them are basically able to recline, and basically Bobby actually says, look, you may have lost those investors and I know you were close to making partner, but I'm going to help you out, just trust me. So he waits basically into Monday morning, and he's able to meet those same guys that they met at the club with the beautiful Natalie, the Harlem brothers, who basically are the like prestige family. They're able to actually come in. They're able actually to come in, and with Bobby and also Wayman, they're able to actually successfully close the deal. They're able to close the deal. The Harlem Brothers are the new ones who are gonna buy this like huge skyscraper building in New York City. And as they're toasting and they're mostly coming down the office building, they're able to find David. And it showed that at the end, David was the one who came in with Sam Rockwell. Because Sam Rockwell's character confesses. He basically tells like it was David one who instructed me to sabotage this. And you could even check in the concierge. You can see the timings of when they came in. And as David is about to call him an insult slur, Wayman gives him the right cook. Boom, nights out. Oh, it's all over, folks. And he's able to successfully secure his position as a partner. He gets fired, and you basically after that, Wayman with Bobby, they go to find Natalie, and Wayman does like what a lot of guys do when they really want the woman is he goes in and he gets down on one knee, but he doesn't go and do that. No. He goes in and he begs him for forgiveness, and it was true because when you really look at it, all this was just from this fucking douchebag David just trying to screw up his plan. And I believe Natalie was able to understand. So that's all done, is harmony. And even as a gift present from, of course, because now at the end, this is the final scenes, of course, like Wayman is able to become a partner, and goddamn Bobby, after busting his ass, he's able to elevate his position. He secures like a nice. Natalie was always looking to have a club of her own. That was her goal. It was to have basically what she worked for, like Dennis Leary's club. She wanted to have one of her own. Wayman, as a gift to her, especially from everything, he actually buys like a kind of rundown club, and basically says like, this is for you, I want you to make this the most banging club in Harlem. And she succeeds. Stuff like the club going on, everyone's dancing, it's the 90s, listening to that fantastic music, and it closes with like, of course, Wayman and of course the beautiful Natalie embracing. And that's pretty much the story of Strictly Business. So the soundtrack movie, I actually had the Strictly Business album that I used to listen. I believe it was even on my MP3 player. This was back in the day. But man, let me tell you, the music in this, and as I said so much how this movie is so upbeat and it's such a feel-good movie, the music is just, you think of all the colors and all the vibrance that you get from this movie is basically put in the soundtrack. My favorite, okay, so going from this soundtrack, you got music from LL Cool J, you got music from Stephanie Mills, you got music from Jeff Redd, LL Cool J, Mary J. Blige, Grand Poobah, Jodeci, Nice and Smooth, Heavy D and the Boys, leader of the new school, Rare and Essence. But the top standout tracks from this movie is definitely Mary J. Blige, You Remind Me, kick-ass soundtrack, just when Mary J. Blige was just on the rise in popularity. And of course, the one I love so much from this was Jeff Redd, You Called and Told Me. This soundtrack plays a lot in this film, and as I've talked many times, the brilliance of this era is that when they used to make the music video, folks, they used to have the actors from the actual movie appear in the music videos. It was almost like an extension to the film. They did this in White Man Can't Jump. I believe they also did a little bit of a deep cover, and there's a few other ones out there. But when you see the music video, as hot as you've seen Halle Berry in the movie, she has extensive scenes in the music video with Jeff Red. She's dancing, looking as fine, and they have the same pretty much like a setting that they did in the film. And so it's amazing. See, definitely listen to Strictly Business soundtrack. Great soundtrack for an awesome movie. Alright, so I know you've been waiting for this. The final thoughts for Strictly Business. Okay, alright. So if we're being real, Strictly Business, one of the things, like a lot of the positives of this film is definitely that it is an upbeat movie. That's probably the big thing. It's such a feel-good movie. I feel like the way this is that you could actually watch this with everyone. It's a family movie. It's not, as you could say, maybe not to say Boomerang is raunchy, but it's not as like to that type of you could say sexualness, because Boomerang has a lot of sexual innuendos. Not as graphic as some other films, but it's definitely more than this. But this film is very like a feel-good family happy movie of like of a romance comedy. The setting really helps in here. I think it's really cool. The three protagonist actors, what's very linked to them is their all is ambition. A lot of them are in places that they're there for the time being, but they all are looking to progress and develop into something better. And at the end, they're able to do that just from like that persistence in there. Another good thing with this film is even like the messages of like, when you do see pretty much Bobby like asking Wayman for help because he wants to elevate, Wayman's very reluctant, and he's very reluctant because of a couple of things. The way how he sees Bobby, like he's street, he's very hip, maybe he's not that like maybe he can't be that professional to kind of hang with the likes of me. And then also it's that kind of crabs in a barrel mindset, of which a lot of the black community falters on, is that when it comes to working together, they always finish last. Because even if you see David, when he's working with like young Sam Rockwell's character, they work right away. Even though he thinks he's a douchebag, they work together. Whereas if you see with Wayman in the beginning, he's a bit like well, unless like something, he only really starts wanting to work with Bobby pretty much when Natalie comes into the picture. He wanted to get his game. So the messages of that, and then also the messages of pretty much like not judging a book by its cover and the classism. As I said, the way you see Wayman in the beginning of his pretty much again Ivy League, shaken not stirred. He has the appearance of a black man, but he's pretty much like a white person. But then he's not white as like David and his bunch. And then he kind of goes pretty much from like this kind of evolution of where he's now going to Harlem. He's doing business deals. He even dates a woman who's pretty much street, in Natalie. So it is nice seeing him in the change. And would I say, of course, the story and film, this film of course doesn't have like, of course, that depth, and I keep doing it, comparing it to Boomerang, it doesn't have the depth of like the Boomerang film. It's more of a simple film, you understand, less complex, just very straightforward. You have these three characters who got ambition and they intertwine with each other to help each other out and succeedingly do so at the end. So it's not as a depth movie with, and there's not really too much negatives you can give for this movie. It has a great rewatchable feeling. Like I can watch this movie many times, and what I love so much about it is you can watch it with your partner, you could watch it with your family, you could watch it with all ages, and it's just a nice, pleasant movie. My review on Strictly Business, oh yeah, from 1991. Drop down your comments what you thought about this excellent movie from the 90s. Of course, the beautiful, drop dead gorgeous Halle Berry. What did you think of her for pretty much like her first big role? What did you think of the other actors, Tommy Davidson playing Bobby, Joseph Phillips playing Wayne, and even the supporting characters from Samuel Jackson to Samuel Jackson, you had Kim Coles, you had Anne Marie Johnson. What did you think of them lot balancing this movie? What did you think of the scene in New York? Yeah, Keep staying strong. Just remember that this year is my year, this year is your year, and everything that we have dreamed for, oh yes, will come true. Remember, it's that money never sleeps, and neither do I. And Richie Rich is out.